Well, welcome to the Home to Haven podcast. We're so thankful, so excited to see you. That you've joined us today for another exciting episode. It's a brand new year. We're so excited for what God has in store for this year. Home to Haven podcast is all about communication, helping communication in couples. We're Terrell and Jen Turner, and we teach couples how to communicate in their relationships so they can build a haven of peace and love, really an atmosphere that you want to be around, that you want to be into. So if you've been looking or searching for content that helps you in your communication with your relationships, your marriage, your boo thing, bae, whatever, you found the right place. So make sure that you like, subscribe. They're on YouTube, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, follow, and we're so excited.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you here. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Oakhaven Company. You can also find great resources on our website. So go ahead and check out oakhavencompany.com as well.
Absolutely.
So today, are we ready to dive in?
I'm ready. It's a brand new year again, so I'm excited. Took a little break off for the holidays. Hope everyone had a great time. And let's dive into today's topic.
All right. Today, we are going to talk all about crafting a vision for your home and relationship.
Yeah, new year. So a lot of times people are taking this time of the year, I know we have, to cast vision. Hopefully we have a yearly meeting that we do to cast vision for our home, set the year up for success.
That's right. Now, a lot of people also like to create goals when it comes to the new year. Vision's a little bit different.
Absolutely.
And so for this episode, I actually looked up the definition of vision.
Let's do it.
And it is actually the ability to think about or to plan the future with imagination or wisdom.
Love it.
And I thought that was an interesting definition because not only are you looking toward and planning the future, but it added in with imagination or wisdom.
Right.
And as Christians, where should we be getting that wisdom from?
Yeah.
Ultimately, right, we're not looking towards what's trendy this year or what everyone else's word of the year happens to be, right?
Yeah.
But we ultimately look toward the Bible for that wisdom, right? So everything that we want to create our vision needs to be grounded in the Word.
Yeah, you said there was imagination. And so there is a word that says expectancy, or what you expect to see.
Okay.
So that's really what a vision is. What are we expecting to see personally in our household, in our relationship with one another? What are we expecting God to do in us this year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? We want to cast a vision so that we know what to expect down the road. So that when something arises, we know, hey, that's what we prayed for. That's what we've been expecting. Or no, that's not what we're expecting.
Okay.
We're going to push that out.
Okay, right. And so we're really thinking about vision. Why is it so important to even have a vision, right? And you just said expect, what we expect things to be. So if you don't expect anything or you don't know what to expect, what's going to happen, right? Just anything and everything could happen. So in order to set that vision is so important to both personal and your partner and also your home, which I think a lot of people might miss that a little bit because everybody's so focused on setting, new you, new year. It's all about how you're going to improve yourself personally. But we want to focus a little bit more on the home aspect. Why is it so important to have a specific vision for your home or relationship?
Yeah, Proverbs 29:18 says that if you don't have a vision, there's chaos.
Okay.
Right? The King James will say, without a vision, the people perish. But there's really chaos, right? And so, we're basing everything that we talk to you today or all the time on the Bible. We believe ultimate success for your home or your relationship is in God's word.
Right.
So God tells us you got to have a vision to minimize chaos so that the kids aren't going in one direction, you're not in one direction, she's on another whole plane. Part of that we're not seeing eye to eye is because we don't have a vision statement. Right. So you think about corporations, they have a mission statement, they've got a vision, it's plain, it's talked about all the time. We got to do that in our relationship so that we're on the same page. That breaks down communication in our relationship when we don't know our purpose or why we're here or why we're together and what we're accomplishing together.
Right. And I like how you said companies do that a lot because successful companies, their mission, what they're about. And so do you know what you're about as a couple and do you know what you're about as a family and how you're going to work through everything in your home life,
Right.
where can you get that vision from? Ultimately, you need to pray about it.
about it.
You need to seek the word again. We always talk about renewing your mind and getting those core values established so that you can create that home purpose statement and you can create that vision for your home.
Yeah, home purpose statement. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision, make it very plain. So that's communication. We need to
Yes.
communicate the vision so that it's simple, so that everyone, again, knows what we are doing and why we're doing it. So, again, if you're in a relationship with your spouse, then what are you there for? Why are you together? What are you accomplishing? How are you going to do it? If you are dating or about to get married, you want to start talking about those things, praying those things through so that you go into your marriage and set it up for success. If you have children, again, there's a statement that's in the house that everyone knows this is what the Turner family or the Johnson family or the whoever Gomez family is all about.
Right.
This is what we stand for. So take some time to really think through that, pray through that, and you'll really see some success in your entire family.
And when you have that purpose statement as a family and something arises, you can put it back. Does this meet our vision?
Absolutely.
Is this in alignment with what we stand for, what we believe, things that might hit you from the outside, or even behaviors that you might see in the inside of your home, right?
100%.
And this does not match our home purpose statement. This does not match our vision. That's not allowed in here. And you
Right.
can move forward and really maintain that peace, that atmosphere that you've really tried so hard to build up.
That's what we're talking about, a haven. This happened to us last week with both of our children. Atlee and Jaden were having a little spat between one another. She's very competitive, and she wanted Jaden to help, and I don't know if he was or he was too slow. And so she was like, I'm going to throw your notebook in the trash. And so she went to, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, no, that behavior is not accepted in this household. That is not what we stand for. That is not who we are.
Right.
That is not godly character.
Right.
The second thing was a show Jaden was watching, and it's rated Y7.
Right.
And we had no idea, thank God for my wife, because she was on guard, and she's cooking in the kitchen, happened to look, and Jaden's got this scene was on, and it was a scene of a lesbian couple that are kids. And so, we don't allow that kind of content in our home, so we shut that down.
Right.
Why? Because it does not align with our vision, our purpose, and who we are, and what we stand for, and our morals and our values.
That's right. Now, getting back to how we first create that purpose statement or that vision, right? So you might be sitting down and really taking that time to reflect over what are my core values, what are our core values, and what do we want to have in our statement for our home, and what do we want to have in our vision for our home. So when you take that time, I know we've done this, so I will sit and kind of, think through things myself, and you'll take some time to think through things yourself, but ultimately it's going to come down to how we're going to communicate to each other, right? What we want for our vision, what we desire for our home, and how we can communicate together to ultimately create that home purpose statement and that vision succinctly together. So it's all about the communication piece of it.
It comes together communication. I think when we're talking about also in a new year, both parties need to take some time apart, really pray and see what God is speaking to them individually, and then come together and say, here's what I believe that, I'd like to see, or here's what are you seeing, sweetheart, and what are you believing for? You come together, you pray through it, you talk through it and work towards it. Here are some goals I'd like to have financially.
Okay.
Here's some goals we'd like to do as a family. Here's some places maybe we'd like to go, or some date nights we'd like to do. We talked about having intent and setting time apart for you on your date nights, right? So think of those things, mark some things on the calendar, put some things into place. Maybe have some goals as far as, well, I'd like to be more patient this year. Here's how I'm going to do that. I'm going to stop interrupting when you talk. I'm going to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. I'm going to repeat some things back to you and ask you,
Right.
Is that what you really mean? We're going to incorporate some of these things more this year. Put those things to action so that you can attain and reach those goals together in harmony, in your communication, in your love one for another. And that 6 months, 8 months, 10 months down the road, you guys are in a much better place. Whether it's not okay today or whether it's strong right now, you'd be even that much more stronger come fall or come this time next year.
Right. And it's so important to come in alignment, because the house will not stand, right? If I have a different vision and you have a different vision.
That's called a division or
Okay.
division. So
Okay.
having two visions is division. And so, ultimately you talked about, having communication, really God's setup or his purpose, his divine plan would be, he's going to hold that man responsible
Okay.
for the vision for the house.
Okay.
So, gentlemen, I want to encourage you to step up and lead. That's where you're leading. Not saying I'm taking over, but
Right.
this is what I've been praying, and this is what I sense God is going to say to us this year. This is the theme for this year, or really take some time to pray through and
Right.
allow God to speak to you, to breathe that into your entire house, breathe it into your wife or your fiance, because that's what we are. God came to the Garden of Eden and said, Adam, hey, where are you, right?
Okay.
So he's looking at us, gentlemen, to take the lead and cast that vision and give our family direction, spiritual direction for what he has for us in this coming year.
And I love that. I love having a spiritual leader, right? To be able to say, this is what I'm hearing from God. Because if I hear you say, this is what I'm hearing from
Sure.
God, I know I'm in, no matter whether I'm a little, uncomfortable with it in the natural or don't know how it's going to happen.
Right.
But if I know that God has told you something, I know that that's the direction and the vision that we need to go.
And that's a great place to start, gentlemen. If you're feeling like, hey, my wife doesn't respect me, or I'm not feeling like she's, always on board, talk spiritual things to her, right? Especially, hopefully, if she's a believer, because if she's a
right.
believer, that's going to cause her to come into line with all the areas of your life. She really needs that spiritual direction first. And as you give her spiritual direction, all the other things are going to come into play, because we can't argue one with another when it's God's word. His word's final.
Absolutely. And if you feel like as the woman in the household, you're not getting that from your husband, this is a great time to ask those specific questions to
Yeah.
him. And you can bring up that subject and say to him, what have you been feeling lately that God has been speaking?
And we want to do tone. I hate to interrupt you, but not what are you hearing from God? But like,
Or you haven't told me anything
there's
yet.
a way to like kind of nudge or encourage him lovingly, right? The unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, right? So, hey, baby, I've been praying, and I just love to hear what God is saying to you for
Right.
this year, or what can I be praying about? How can I support you, right?
Right.
So we're kind of pushing him into leadership, but in a loving, supporting way. And as a husband or as a man, I can definitely respect that, and I can get on board with that, because I need to give you that, and I'm hearing that come from you.
Right. And that nudge might not be, a bad thing. It might be what
Might be a
you
good
all
thing.
need
That's right.
to come together to communicate the vision for your home.
That's right. I love it.
And then the last thing we just want to leave you with is to really challenge you to actually set aside time to get this done. So a lot of times we talk about it, we say we're going to do it.
Gotta be about it.
Right. Well, let's set specific time aside, both individually if you haven't done it yet, and then together as a couple, to set that home purpose statement for the year,
Right.
to set that vision, that clear vision, right? Leave off all the vagueness. Don't just say we're going to be, loving and kind this year. Like set
Right.
some specific things that you can really work towards and attain and see actually happen. Things that you can pray and believe God for specifically for
That
this
is your
year.
challenge. That is your challenge. So we're going to give you maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. What we would love to do, we'd love to hear from you of what your vision is, or some of the goals you have. We'd love to pray with you over those
Absolutely.
things. We have a community here. We love for everyone to share. If you feel comfortable with the things you want to share, feel free to comment below. Email hi at oakhavencompany.com, not at us. So hi at oakhavencompany.com.
That's right.
Let us know. We'd love to pray for you. Love to hear from you, and be in agreement that what you said will come to pass this year.
That's right. And if you have more questions about how you can actually make that home purpose statement, feel free to send us a direct message as well, and we'll be happy to help you out specifically with those visions and goals.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining in today, tuning in. We hope you got something from it. If you did, again, put a comment in below, like, share, subscribe, send it to someone else you think could benefit from today's topic. And we look forward to talking to you and seeing you next week. God bless.